thought about this today, and this will shock a lot of people out there that have seen my videos. This will shock a lot of people. I was not the most dangerous man in maximum security jail. I wasn't. I wasn't the most dangerous individual in there. You know what I mean? Even I was like, around certain individuals. I'm like, this guy's gonna beat me down, if I say the wrong thing. And one time I did say the wrong thing. He's like, don't disrespect me like that again. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And I walked away. You know what I mean? Would the most dangerous individual say that? I'm sorry, and walk away? No. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't the top dangerous dude in maximum security jail. I wasn't. There's a few that, that I was like, okay, don't say the wrong thing around this guy. Did I apologize okay to him? Or is he still pissed off and going to get revenge on me? You know what I mean? You got to think about those things, So, yeah, they put me in a small unit of 32 individuals, including myself. Half of them were the most dangerous, and the other half were the most twisted in the mind, in a different way. Not dangerous to me, but dangerous to, in a disgusting way. No offense to, but the dangerous ones, they put in a certain color, uniform, jumpsuit, yellow, highest threat level. Guess what I was in? I was in threat level yellow. I didn't even know what it meant the whole time. And then an inmate told me. I'm like, oh. So that's why some people are keeping their distance from me, Because in my mind, I'm a gentle soul, I'm not, I haven't even heard a fly, really. I pet the bugs and stuff. It's just that, like, when my neighbor gets killed, a different side of me comes out. I admit that, you know what I mean? That's what it takes to trigger it out. The side they see that's dangerous. I'm like, just don't kill kids. Don't shoot kids. We'll be okay. No threat level yellow from the Wolverine. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I'm harmless. You know what I mean? So I'm like, well, I don't see why I'm dangerous. I don't get it. So that's the key. It's like, don't do me dirty. Don't shoot my neighbors that are autistic. And we'll be fine. No problem. But anyways. But we got victory. We did. On election day, we got victory big time. That's why, people, I saw someone, driving, promoting Greg Cates, and Victor, for Victor, today. I'm like, yeah. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I'm allowed to vote. I haven't checked, probably not, I don't know. I should probably stay out of it. But I am curious if I'm allowed to vote. With what I've done, with my charges, if I'm allowed to. If I am, that's a grace from God. If I'm allowed to vote in the final round of December, the December vote, that'd be a miracle. I won't say it's justice, but it would feel pretty good for what they did to me to vote, for a new victor, for Victor. Indeed, to change this city, a first step to change this wicked city for the better. A powerful vote. And I underestimated the people. If I knew that people were going to vote a certain way, I wouldn't have gotten locked up. You know what I mean? I can't tell the future. Hindsight's 20/20 now. I didn't know the people would vote strongly and loudly. You know what I mean? I didn't know that. I thought the good old boys had the election rigged. You know what I mean? Like before. Like in every other election. I'm like, I underestimated the voting. I did, and I admit that. I'm paying the price. I'm paying the price for underestimating the people. So, sorry, people. I'm sorry. I thought I had to take matters in my own hands. You know what I mean? To assure change for me and Victor. You know? For a positive direction for this city. If I'm ever to have a family in this city, we got to clear it out. And that's what I was trying to do for my future children. You know? I don't want my future. That's what I told the people at the psych ward. I'm like, I don't want my future children to get shot by cops. You know what I mean? In 13 seconds. This ends now. This ends now before I have children in my backyard. You get what I mean? They don't get that. That's what I told the people in the staff in the psych ward. I'm like, are you guys brain dead? We have to change this now, or it's over. You guys got to quit being afraid of the good old boy system, you know, before your kid gets shot in the backyard. You know, we have to, it's like they don't get it. I'm like, well, some of them did. Some of them did. Like, they saw things, like, you know, but some of them are like, you know, the system says we gotta lock this guy up. He's defending himself and the kid against corrupt officials. You know, but I'm like, you guys lost your souls. I'm like, stare yourselves in the mirror. They just murdered a kid. They're harassing me and locking me up. What do you think is going on here? You know what I mean? They're trying to wipe us all out, basically. Until there's just the good old boys. That's it. You know what I mean? That's why I'm like, we gotta fight back now or it's over. Yep, I did the math. I don't go on full offense without doing the math. I'm like, it's either now or never. It's either now or never. We go on offense. Full revolution. Full. And the revolution continued when I was locked up. Stronger. They were stronger while I was locked up. I looked at the paper. I'm like, whoa, thank you, God. The Second Revolutionary Army doubled while I was in jail. I might just stay in jail while we get bigger. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, they're doing better without me. 2,000 were at October's protest. 2,000. There was 1,000 in June at the beginning of the Revolutionary War. 1,000. That's another reason they locked me up. He's like, you started a Revolutionary War against us. I did. Officially. That's how you start a war. The psychologist didn't get it. He's like, he's crazy. I'm like, I wrote my Declaration of Independence from the United States of America. I told the psychologist that, and I'm like, I'm dead serious. I showed the public, I signed it to the Donald. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? They didn't like that. I'm like, it's either now or never. You know, then they locked me up. You know what I'm saying? But the Revolutionary War kept going. And they voted strongly too. You know what I mean? That was part of the Revolutionary War, that vote. That vote. I know it, man. They spoke so loudly. I'm like, whoa. Whoa. Even though there's still two final candidates, they won big time. Both of them won in the vote count. I'm like, whoa. Can I say that again? Whoa. Luckily, I got the paper. You know, luckily they gave me the paper maximum security jail. Luckily, so I could, even though the paper tells lies, some of it, I decipher, you know, part of what they put about me was lies. I'm like, my friend was telling me what they said. I'm like, that ain't completely right. That ain't completely right. I want to read that. I wasn't able to read the news article about me while I was locked up. I'm like, that ain't right completely. You know? They like put some truth and then they put some lies in there. I'm like, what the? And that's what they did with a lot of inmates in there. They're like, they lied about me in the paper. You know, and that's what they do. There might be a little bit of truth, but they slander more lies on top of it to make them look horrible to the public. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's why I'm going to jury trial about this. I'm like, they lied, you know? It ain't completely right, you know? You know, one of the charges, I don't even know where it came from, you know? So I'm like, not guilty, duh. You know, take it to jury. See what they say. I'd rather take it to jury based on the vote I saw. I might have more hope, you know, with the people. You know what I mean? I thought about that. I'm like, maybe they'll see that I was fighting for the kid that got shot and myself. I was. I was fighting for the people. Maybe the jury will see that and have mercy on me. I don't know. Or maybe they might execute me. I don't know. It could go either way at the jury. It could. It could go either way. But I'll accept either whatever they decide, I'll accept. You know what I mean? Because I take accountability. Unlike certain dressed up badge guys that won't take accountability. No charges for shooting a kid. You kidding me? I take accountability. I'm a real man. You know? So anyway. So, enough about that. Had to poke them right there. They might harass me on the streets, but oh well. I learned some more intel about one of the cops, the skinny cop that shot Victor. There's some benefits of getting locked up on purpose. You know, you get intel because you're in enemy territory, but not everybody's an enemy there. You know, the people that are being held hostage aren't enemies. So they know intel about the four cops. You know, I know one of the cops that shot Victor. One of them. The first one you see. But now I know more about the skinny cop. The skinny cop that shot Victor. I know his name. Yep. We get some intel, you know. You know, I promised I'd get some justice for Victor, but God told me vengeance is his clearly when I was in jail in maximum security. He told me clearly, so I'm backing off. I want to see what he does, what God does to the four cops. I'm like, they got no charges. We all saw it. The world saw it. They got no charges like we all predicted. Like the day after they shot the kid, we are like, they don't get any charges. We all know that. So it's official now. Now the ball is in God's hands to get vengeance and justice for Victor now. I'm standing back. I am. That's what I'm saying. You know, I could get vengeance myself for Victor still. I could. You know, I know one of the cops. I know what he looks like. If I see him on the streets, you know what I mean? I know what he looks like. And then I know the skinny cop's name. You know what I'm saying? So I'm getting intel, you know, still. But I'm going to back off and see what God does. Because the election loss didn't really... It got some justice for Victor, the election loss of the last regime. Because that's part of the problem, too. It's all connected. The election loss was justice, in a way. It was. But in my opinion, there has to be some accountability on the cops that killed the kid. That hasn't been seen yet. There hasn't been a punishment on them at all. You know what I mean? So, I took the punishment for my actions, and I still will after the jury trial. They're going to take punishment. You know what I mean? Fair's fair in God's eyes. In this life or the next, they'll have to take accountability for what they did to the kid. For sure. So, they might as well take it in this life rather than in hellfire. You know? That's worse than county jail. They're like afraid of getting charges and getting sent to county jail and getting beat up by the inmates and stuff. They should be afraid of hellfire. Jail cells. Jail cells next to hellfire. That's what they should be afraid of. You know what I'm saying? They don't think about that. They only think about this life. But anyways. I'm not the most dangerous man in the jail. That's what this video is about. That's what this video is about. I wasn't the most dangerous man. I wasn't. At all. I wasn't even the most holy man there. There were guys more humble and righteous than I was. There were. I admit that. Not fully the worst guy there, but not fully the best guy there. I wasn't. And I might make a video about the guy that's in there that I think I slandered him One of the guys, and that had to have been God. That was God. God put me in maximum security with a guy that I slandered before being locked up myself. I slandered him. But I erased the videos, you know, after I got out of jail when I could erase them. I think I got them all because I felt because I was wrong, and I saw that I was wrong, that I slandered him, and I might make an apology video to him. Hopefully he, even though it would have been, it's a miracle if he would get out. But I wrote a good character letter for his lawyer and stuff, for the small possibility that he could get out. You know what I mean? Because he has a 12-year prison sentence. You know what I mean? I don't think he deserves that at all. He was the most humble guy in the whole thing. The whole thing. I'm like, I had him all wrong. You know, I made a judgment call on him, you know, because I've seen him angry at, you know, way before we got locked up together. I saw him, you know, we knew each other, you know, and I saw him get really angry at an employee security guard and stuff. And I had a bad view of him ever since. So I believed the stuff in the newspaper about him. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know, I said, like, good riddance. You know what I'm saying? But now I regret it. God humbled me. He did. God humbled me by seeing him. He was my biggest supporter, praying for me to get out. And the prayers of the inmates is the only reason I got out. They were all praying for me the day before. The day before I was crying. I was. Because I thought God abandoned me. 11 weeks in jail. Locked up. 11 weeks straight in 2 different facilities. Locked up. No sign of God getting me out, bailing me out. Like, God's my only father. He's not bailing me out. He's teaching me a lesson that I crossed the line. I went too far, and I did. He taught me that lesson. That I can't say and do whatever I want. There are consequences. So, anyways, obviously, I'm not an emotionless animal with no feelings. You know what I mean? Even though they see me as less than an animal and treated me less than an animal, I'm not. I'm not. So, and I appreciate the people that know me, that saw me after jail, that treated me with respect like a human being. I appreciate them, and I thank God for that. They recognized me immediately, and they wondered where I was, you know. And they were good. They were kind to me. So bless them, Lord. You know. But anyways, there's more to me than meets the eye. You know what I mean? I'm not some wild, dangerous guy. You know what I mean? I care. And that's what one of the nurses realized at the psych ward, is I do care. But I accepted the punishment for what I've done. You know? If I didn't care, like before, and I didn't say this there, but if I didn't care, like my old self, if I didn't care, I would have never got locked up. I would have been just like you. You know what I mean? Not caring about the kid that got shot, be like, oh well, shouldn't have been waving a knife around. That would have been the old me. Yep. Go back to my favorite TV show. Shouldn't have been, poor kid, oh well, he shouldn't have been waving that knife around. Let's go back to what we want to do. That's the old me. And that's probably you right now. So if I never cared, I would never have been locked up. I would have been just like the good old boys. Be like, yeah, that kid got what he deserved. Shoot him up, copper. Get what I mean? But now I've changed. And that's what the people in the psych ward didn't understand. Or I would never have been there if I didn't care at all. Like you. So, but since God cared about me a long time ago, I cared about the kid. That's all I'll say for this video.